Hello, everybody. Welcome to the second ever episode of the Segal Family Foundation podcast and the first ever live episode. My name is Sylvia Ilahuka. I'm the Communications Officer for Segal Family Foundation, and we're here today with Carolyn Kandusi, outgoing Senior Program Officer based in Tanzania. So Carolyn is actually our outgoing Senior Program Officer as she is leaving us next month for other adventures, and we're here to have a conversation today and try to capture her 8 years in 8 questions. So let us begin. You have been with Segal Family Foundation for 8 years now. Please tell us, how did you come to join us?
Oh my goodness, that's a funny story. I remember very well where I first saw the job description. I was somewhere in Addis Ababa, October of 2017. In 30 minutes, I received 3 WhatsApp messages. And it's 3 people from very different places, all of them sort of telling me that this cool organization, which I didn't know much by then, that is hiring for program officer. And I think that was one part of it. But the second part was just reading about Segal Family Foundation, fighting for fairness and justice, supporting early stage organizations. And as a social entrepreneur then, who was also transitioning, who had founded something in Tanzania, I think it resonated. I knew this is the right space to be based on the core values that Segal Family Foundation communicates and actually lives out loud every day. That's how the journey in this relationship started and so steady up until to this day.
We are all the richer for it, so thank you for having given us this much of your time. Some listeners may not know what a program officer does. Could you describe to us what your day-to-day looks like?
That's quite a long description, but let me try to use this example that I use. Can I see your ring? You're wearing a ring. This is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful ring, okay? But before this stone is set on this ring, there's a whole process. There's a person, there's this young man, maybe young woman who goes down into the mines. They always go so many meters under. They find a very rough stone and then they bring it out and then they take it through so many processes, polishing it, grading it and building it. And then the next thing you find a beautiful stone in a jewelry shop. So that is the job of a peer. We are simply tasked with one work, which is finding visionary leaders. In this case, I had a honor of serving in Kenya, Uganda, and now Tanzania. So my day-to-day is all about going out, finding these visionary and committed leaders and supporting them to become the best that they can into becoming organizations which are, transforming how development is happening in their communities and their countries, into becoming global thought leaders who are leading different agendas with the end game of really having communities and societies that have social welfare and prosperity. So that is the core work of a PO.
Tell us about a particularly memorable moment for you as a PO.
Oh my goodness, it's a lot. It's a lot. But I think one memory, it is not a very long-time memory. It happened actually this year. It's just experiencing the partners at the Segal Connect Tanzania with the fact that the last big event for Segal in Tanzania was in 2014, and then we had smaller gatherings, but having a Segal Connect which really focused in spotlighting the social innovators, the trendsetters in Tanzania was just a highlight. And one particular moment, I think as a PO, you get to know your partners, the extroverted ones, those ones who are always at the front line, and the quiet ones. I think I was sitting one evening and I was speaking to this one very quiet partner, and it's one that you really want to handhold and make sure that they meet with people. And in that evening, they said I'm going to take a rest. I've had so many meetings. Meaning that for the first time, the partners in Tanzania had so many partners who were interested in their work. We got to showcase their work. And I think experiencing that everybody felt they had sufficient access to potential partners and people who can co-create with them and scale up their work. I think that one particular moment and that conversation with a partner is one that really gives me so much joy, and it's a memory I will cherish.
And you are an amazing MC at Segal Connect, by the way. Yay! So to our viewers who may not know, Segal Connect is a regional gathering that Segal Family Foundation convenes in each of our hubs. We do this so that the gathering is a smaller collection of people, and it gives our grantee partners and our funder friends in the region a chance to connect in a calm, less stressful manner than typical conferences might sometimes create. So we had it in 2024 in Malawi. 2025 was Tanzania, like Carolyn was telling us about. And you can read more about it on our website. So what surprising things did being a program officer teach you about yourself?
I always thought I was quite a positive and optimistic person. But I think being a peer just took my positivity and optimism on the future of Africa to the next level. Every single day you met a visionary leader, addressing the most complex challenge with ease, with a lot of innovation, with so much commitment. And I think one thing which this experience has opened up for me is just living in the world of possibilities. So sometimes I might sound a little bit delulu when I'm in some rooms and people are talking about challenges in Africa from health, education, and all that. And I'll be on the other whole universe. I'm like, no, what is the problem here? Have you spoken to this organization? Have you spoken to this organization? Have you met this visionary leader? So I think as a peer, it's a unique and rare privilege, and something which I would like to actually really send a note of gratitude to the partners and organizations which gave me an opportunity to walk in their journey as they're building this, because every interaction leaves you with a message, with a feeling and a sense of hope. So I think that is one thing which I'm going with, remaining hopeful and knowing that it's a wide world of just possibilities, and people are already doing something. So yeah, I'm just extremely hopeful.
So mother to mother. Yeah. As a mother of two, to my fellow mother of two, your younger son was very little when you stepped into this role. What was your experience of motherhood in your work with Segal Family Foundation?
Initially when you're signing up for a job, it's Segal Family Foundation. And of course, there's a whole narrative. These are individual philanthropist families, which that's something. I did not think of it this is also going to be a family for my children. But I think their journey has really, really been supported surprisingly so well. I think my journey as a mother with a little one, it was so easy. Being given permission to bring my child into the spaces, from boardrooms to events to site visits. I think that permission is so important. And I think this really speaks to how do we create spaces for women in corporate space when we have multiple roles, transforming the communities that we're working with, but at the same time, birthing these beautiful, amazing humans who are the future. So I think the general culture was really, really helpful. And using that, I use that to advocate also for our partners and our colleagues that, when you have a mother, there are so many things which should be considered. And I think what really, really gave me joy is that the team and management have always been super open to learning and innovating and finding ways that my children were part of my work. I think the most inspiring moment for my older son was traveling to the US, where he volunteered at the 2019 annual general meeting. I think it exposed him to my work, and sometimes as a mom, your kids don't really understand what is it that you're doing. So when the foundation really supported me for him to sort of have that experience, it opened also him to his other passion. And it was from there he told me one day I want to fly an A380 Boeing. And I was like, okay. Mm-hmm.
That is really special. Mm-hmm. And I think it also resonates with many of us in the foundation who are parents. Mm-hmm. One of our outgoing colleagues mentioned that the biggest thing for her was that Segal had allowed her to be a mother. Mm-hmm. And that's really true for me, because the space has been created for us to support both aspects of our lives. Oh, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So I'm told you're leaving us to start the Policy Innovation Lab Africa. Woo! Tell us about this endeavor.
Yeah, Policy Innovation Lab Africa. Just maybe to use an example to enable you to understand more what we do. Just think about a social innovation, either driven by an NGO or a social enterprise that you really, really love, and you hoped maybe the whole of Uganda or the whole of Africa would actually benefit from that innovation. I'm sure as I'm asking you that, you have a few which are flying in your mind. You're thinking about this one and this one and this one. And yes, so there are so many social innovators across our continent who have come up with really, really amazing innovations in health, education, improving livelihoods. However, they are limited by the possibility of scaling their innovations to the level that the innovations have the opportunity, or let's say the potential to actually impact Africa. So Police Innovation Lab has a very simple and complex mission, which is to champion social-public partnerships, and maybe to give it even more light, is that it really does take three sectors to thrive, for development to happen. We need very strong governments and public space. Of course, we need the private sector to inject the capital and drive development, but also we need the social sector. Other people call it NGOs, other people call it third sector. But honestly, because of the work that I've done in interacting with a lot of social innovators, there's definitely room to move this existing partnership between the social sector and the government from ad hoc engagements, which take a lot of time, into a structured approach, which will enable our governments to benefit from all these innovations, as well as support the social innovators themselves to maximize their potential. If you have something good, then let's blow it. Unfortunately, when it comes to that level of growth, for safeguarding purposes, and by understanding that when you're doing a national-wide scale, it is something that is going to affect millions of people. There must be a pathway and a framework which will enable our governments and our social sectors to work together, but with clarity on, how do you do due diligence, how do you evaluate impact and make sure that this innovation actually will have positive impact on people? How do you test all this work before you make a decision, and what is the structure of engagement? So Police Innovation Lab is looking for to build a framework which will enable the social sector leaders to partner better with governments. I remember in one of the Future Summit events, which is a summit we held a few years back online during COVID lockdown, Fred Swanika mentioned that if everyone else in the world is running, Africa needs to sprint in terms of optimizing all we can, bringing all hands on deck to make sure anything that is working continues to work and work better and faster and even at larger scale.
Where did this idea come from, and how has your experience as a program officer prepared you for this next adventure?
Oh my word. So this idea came from a lot of asking, curiosity. And I think maybe at a point in life, I remember 2021, it was my first time when I got a chance to advise the president of Tanzania on economic justice and rights, and I was part of the appointees to the national committee, which is advising her on what we can do to sort of bring economic justice and rights. And I think that was my first time sort of really interacting with central government and understanding the works and how policies come to be. And I remember with my background, working with social innovators across Africa, every single time we're doing the programs, what needs to be done, I always had a name. I know this organization, there's a great innovation here and all that stuff. So that started as I think that was what do we say? That was a precursor. And then through my professional development journey with Segal Family Foundation, I started probing more and more. I took a fellowship, I called so many people, I asked so many people, and in the end it was we're not going to be asking what needs to be done. We understand why collaborations are so important in all sectors. I think SDG Goal 17 is really, really emphasizing on partnerships for all, and then we have to find ways that these partnerships work.
So it's very clear to me, and hopefully to our viewers, that the only way for you from here is up. It's just up, 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 up. What should we look forward to seeing or hearing in the next few years?
Yeah, in the next few years, I look forward to connecting with all our viewers. I do believe we have a lot of partners watching this who are doing this amazing work. I think I'll be, like in the next 3 years, I'll be sending a lot of photos of me traveling across Africa in all countries, maybe specifically interacting with departments, authorities, and commissions for national development, just like, figuring out how we can bring this framework into all governments in Africa. You are definitely going to be invited in different symposiums and convenings where I'll try as much as possible to bring the evidence of impact when social sector collaborates with government. So most likely I will still be in the same room, but this time I'll be super laser focused on talking about partnership between the social and public sector. And when that day that the African Union actually says that you're going to have a social public partnership unit, maybe I'll retire and then become a teacher.
Okay, I was not expecting.
Yeah, teaching is my retirement job, and it was also my first job. So I love being in spaces where you can influence thinking, and I think teachers are the most awesome people. So I'll figure out, but who knows? That could be soon, or it could be later, but that's the plan.
It's an honor to be from the same country as you. Yay, Tanzania. And thank you so much for summarizing your 8 years in 8 questions. We shall obviously always be in touch, and you always have a home at Segal Family Foundation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We wish you all the best.
It has been such an amazing journey to serve with Segal Family Foundation for the 8 years.